Katie, so nice to meet you. I'm Natasha from Milkshake. Why don't you first tell us about your role and a bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Katie Denver. I'm the Performance and Talent Development Manager at F1 Academy. My role really involves three kind of key elements. One is preparation of prospective future F1 Academy drivers. So what does it take to come into F1 Academy? What are the expectations and how do we support future drivers to actually achieve their ambitions of coming into the series? And that could be by developing resources or upskilling them on knowledge or behaviours that are that the teams are looking for, and running a rookie test and the wildcard program as well. And then the second part is performance. So how do we best support performance of the drivers that are in F1 Academy currently? We have F1 teams that are backing some of the drivers, but not all of them. So for our partner car drivers, they can get a little bit more guidance and support from me. And that might be around like physical performance, mental skills, performance lifestyle. And then the last bit is actually then progression. So what happens after F1 Academy and how do we best support drivers to make that transition out of F1 Academy and hopefully continue up the single-seater pathway, and in years to come hopefully we'll see somebody right at the top.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot to talk about there. So let's first start from the beginning in terms of how do girls actually get discovered?
Yeah, so there's different ways, but primarily we see that drivers that are starting in karting, they will start to progress their way through the different categories within karting. We have a Discover Your Drive program, which is partnered with Champions of the Future Academy karting program, where we will start to support some female drivers to maximise their sort of performances in the karting categories, hopefully giving them again some visibility around what their potential looks like, with a view to them transitioning into single-seaters, usually around the age of 15. Once they get a little bit of experience in single-seaters, they will be eligible to come into F1 Academy from the age of 16. But in F1 Academy, we're all about performance, so it will always be the best performances that will be awarded those seats. Yeah, it's really the karting world is probably the biggest way of kind of getting identified and seen by F1 Academy. But that's not to say that everybody has to come through that route. We've got drivers where they maybe didn't do much karting, if at all. So it's about looking at all of the different categories, who's performing, at what level, and what their potential looks like for the future.
So are you going to karting championships and doing scouting? And
yeah, so part of my role, I'm hopefully trying to cover as many different categories as possible, but really focusing in on the kind of the top level karting and the different F4 or equivalent single-seater categories. I'll go to some of those rounds because we can see the results easily on a timesheet, but that doesn't always tell us the full picture. We also want to know about a driver's character and personality, how they approach a challenge, what they're doing around their training, do they have a clear plan about what their goals are and how they're going to reach them, and really starting to get that understanding. But it's also an opportunity for us to explain a little bit about what we're looking for in F1 Academy and how drivers can put themselves in the best possible position.
And when you are at these karting races, what is the current split between boys and girls?
Yeah, so I guess like more broadly, it's still quite low. I haven't got an exact figure, but we're looking at around probably somewhere between 5 and 10% of female participation. That's kind of on a broader scale. What we've seen is that where we have applied our Discover Your Drive program in Champions of the Future Academy karting, we're looking at about 25 to 30% female participation. So we know that the visibility that F1 Academy brings, the support, the guidance, the knowledge, and feeling part of a community is having a really positive impact on those on the needle, and it's like starting to move in the right direction. And actually that's now the past sort of 18 months or so, we're actually now seeing that also translate into single-seater category. So I was actually doing a bit of an analysis just the other day on how many female participants there are in single-seater categories, and we're around about 48, which is a really encouraging number. If you then compare that to the male side of things, still we're not quite there, but it is really going in the right direction, and I think it is a lot to do with the visibility that F1 Academy brings.
Can you tell us a bit about the various programs that your team manages? So there's Discover Your Drive, there's the wildcard program, there's also the F1 Academy test.
Yes.
How are they all connected, and is it a sequential process?
Yeah, so I guess if you looked at it like in a funnel or a pyramid analogy, The karting program is at the bottom, it's the base, and that's the fundamental sort of skills that drivers start to develop for future progression in motorsport. After that, it could be a wildcard opportunity or it could be the rookie test. It depends on the calendar, but essentially the wildcard program is to help strengthen that talent pool, give visibility to a driver for a one-off weekend, also gives prospective teams and partners an opportunity to benchmark that driver against our current grid, knowing also that we have to remember that the current grid have had a lot more experience in that car. So it's really interesting to see those wildcard drivers come in. We then have the rookie test, as you said, our first one last year, and that's really been key for us because until now we haven't had an opportunity to get all of these drivers that we're interested in side by side and benchmark them against each other. It's very difficult to do that because different series and categories are all different levels of competitiveness, there's different demands, there might be different numbers of test days available. So for us that was a real opportunity to make sure that we were looking at the right drivers and that they were at the right level to then come into F1 Academy. And then once they've done those or participated in those opportunities, it's not a given that they will come into F1 Academy, but it certainly opens the possibility of that happening. For those that don't then transition into F1 Academy, we keep those drivers on our radar and they might get further opportunities in the future.
And just so we understand the scale of this, how many countries are involved in participating, as well as the number of girls that have gone through the program?
Yeah, so we really are global in terms of that talent ID kind of area. We're looking at all categories, anything from Japan to Brazil to Europe. We know that it's very strong in Europe just because of the history of motorsport. Yeah. Also, the manufacturers in karting are predominantly based in Italy, so there's a very strong karting cohort that come through those series. But generally, we are seeing now more and more so that we are seeing further participation in countries that perhaps we hadn't necessarily seen a strong talent pool coming through before. And again, I think that's because F1 Academy are on the F1 package in terms of being a support series, and when we go to all these different locations, like we're here in Montreal, it gives people within that region, young girls, the visibility and the eyes on F1 Academy, and it can help to inspire and motivate them to participate themselves. And the more we do this, hopefully the bigger the talent pool becomes.
So it is amazing what F1 Academy has accomplished in 3 years now, going into your fourth. What can we expect to see in how talent development is going to evolve over the next 12, 18 months?
Yeah, so I think we've done a lot of work so far in identifying what the key sort of development areas are, and we've categorised them via our driver development guide into physical development and mental skills, performance and social performance, lifestyle and social aspects, alongside the technical and tactical elements that they need to know. So I think from as a starting point, we've made development a lot more accessible and a lot clearer. And what we'll continue to do is analyse where any knowledge gaps are, or where we're seeing particular areas that require a bit more attention from drivers that are progressing into F1 Academy. And we are just, over the past 12 months, we've been running a driver development workshop series, which is a virtual workshops that prospective drivers can attend and hear from some of the industry experts around some of those different development areas. So I think we'll continue to build on that. We're seeing the numbers coming through, so it will be about refining what our talent and selection criteria looks like. And we'll certainly start to build on that rookie test concept as well as the wild card. And just make sure that when we're offering these initiatives that we're getting as much information from that as possible to help inform future selections.
Awesome. Well, last question for you. We have a very big weekend here in Montreal with 3 races. What is your prediction for who is going to score the most points?
Who's going to score the most points? Okay, well, my prediction is I think that Emma Felbermeyer has really come back strong this season. She did a really good job last year, but I think something's really switched, and she's really competitive this year. She's got a clear plan, and I know she's been working really hard. So I'm going to say Emma Felbermeyer for this one.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you.